boys and girls, welcome back to the Team Gullit YouTube channel. My name is Renzo and today we've got a brand new video for you guys talking about the top 3 most underrated and underused formations in FIFA 22. But first, I want to tell you guys that you should be watching the Twitch live stream on EA Sports FIFA. Link will be in the description. Upcoming Saturday if you want to collect the TGNIP kit. It's a brand new kit and crest that's actually available for every single one of you. Just have to link your Twitch account and watch the stream. Upcoming Saturday from 4 p.m. Central Eastern Time. Something like that. It will start for like 90 minutes. Just leave it on and watch our players compete in the E-Champions League in order to get the TGNIP kit. So like always, just sit back, relax, and enjoy. Alright, so starting off with the beautiful team that I'm rocking here. Some really great players like KDB Team of the Year and João Cancelo Team of the Year, but also, you guys know by now, I'm using this because of my Belgium competition, which I'm currently like ranked 3rd or 2nd, so it's going pretty well. Jonathan David is an absolute solid striker if you want to pick him up for your teams. Recommend you guys to pick him up if you're using like these League 1 teams or... But anyway, let's hop into the 4-5-1 second variation. And why is this formation so good? Because it's underrated and like it's being used in competitive as well sometimes. This is a good counter to the 4-3-2-1 formation and also the 4-1-2-1-2 second variation or 4-3-1-2. Why is that? Because basically you're going to have the option that you have these 3 midfielders that can actually counter the 3 midfielders of your opponent and also have the wingers. So you're always winning the dominant midfield battle pretty much, or you're always winning the midfield battle pretty dominantly because you have these extra wingers that he needs to commit with his fullbacks on if they're playing 4-3-2-1 or the narrow. So for tactics, you always want to keep the defensive width on like 40, maybe even to 30, because I feel like you're only really vulnerable here against the teams that rock these narrow formations. Like not vulnerable, but down the wing you have, you shouldn't have too much issues, as well as you have these 3 players covering the center with the 2 center backs behind them. The depth, like I said, you can use 70 if you want, or 60 at least. That's probably the most common thing to do right now. Balance, and you can also play a long ball if you are going to use this formation to counter pressure, because it's also a really good formation to counter pressure. But if you just want to try this out from the start, then just start with balance, 50 width, because it's already a pretty wide formation. You can even go a bit more narrow to like 40, 30-ish, but it's personal preference. You have to try it out first to see if you like it. You can put players in box from 4 to even 8, because I feel like this formation, you want to crowd the box with these 3 midfielders, but you might be a bit vulnerable on the counter attack. So for instructions, you want to keep the striker staying central. If you are going to play out of pressure, so this is if you want to use the formation out of pressure to just see out the game, then you want to use drift wide and get in behind. With the long ball instruction, this works well. You can always like try, like we showed you previous year, to play a long ball to the wing and then head it on towards your striker supporting and getting in behind. But mainly you just want to use mixed attack and stay central. Then for the central midfielder, you want to use stay back while attacking and cover center. You want to have that one kind of just sitting back and supporting the offense by just being available to play a through on pass, or just not too complicated, because the left and right center mid are going to be unbalanced and cover center as well. Like I said, we are rocking a pretty wide formation, so our wingers are going to be on comeback on defense and getting behind, and the comeback on defense should have you covering the wing still pretty solid with these wingers. And then just the fullback stay back while attacking, no further instructions needed. You can try the goalkeeper instructions. We don't really like them because sometimes the goalkeeper just does silly things, but if it works for you, you can try it out, right? So this formation I'd recommend you guys to use if you like to play possession and are just good in creating these short passing combinations when you get to the box, and you got to be pretty patient with this. Then up next is going to be the 3-5-2 formation. And this one, it's a tricky formation, not going to lie, because 5 back is actually solid in defense, and 3-5-2 common, like, often people compare these two formations and they look like, oh, it's pretty much looking the same, right? But 3-5-2 is way more attacking and less solid in defense, unless you're a great one-on-one defender. So I wouldn't advise you to rock this at all times, but you can try it out. Maybe it just suits your gameplay and you can actually just score more goals than your opponent does, right? That's just the way that you have to play FIFA in general. So what you want to use is balanced. Like I said, the width and depth, 40 up to 70, or the width like 30 to 50, and the depth for at least 50 to 70. So for the build-up play, I've tried fast build-up with this formation, and it's actually really good because on the counter-attack, this formation is just very, very good as well. But it might leave, like, if you're not scoring your chances then with fast build-up and you're rushing because you don't have these fullbacks. So if somebody's playing with wingers and you lose the ball early in build-up, you're usually very vulnerable, but because it's like a one-on-one situation every time. So you could go with just balance, but direct passing is very crucial in this. And why is that? I'm going to show you that later. Because we want to keep the width on, like, yeah, between 45 and 60 is what I'd advise you. Because this formation, you want to keep the most of the play down the middle. So the players in box, don't put it too high because there's already this triangle up front. So I'm going with 4 to 6 for this. But like I said, because fast build-up works really well, because you can usually play Atal here or Bamba that I'm using, and then move it into the middle to Mertens, and then you have these two strikers up front. And direct passing just works well because that triangle up front, just with the narrow formation and even 5-2-1-2, that Cam is always the guy that can make a play if you have these strikers up front making runs. And that's why we put get in behind and come back on defense on them. Come back on defense because, like I said, we want to have everybody helping us out in defense because we only have 3 center backs that are really going to be defending at all times. So come back on defense on the Cam as well. But if you are using this formation, because you can also use this formation as to kind of change up the game, I do see people using this formation if they're like 1 goal down or 2 goals down and they just feel like, okay, I need to be a bit more attacking. Then you can also go with stay forward, and then you really have that triangle that is just sitting there to counter-attack your opponent really quickly. Like I said, Mertens or your Cam is always going to be that guy that you can play from the back into space, and then he's just going to be able to put the strikers in with these through balls. For the CDMs, in general, stay back while attacking and cover center. If you're going to use it for a comeback, then probably balanced. And the wingers are crucial, like I said, come back on defense and no getting behind. Because if you're going to put these on getting behind, then for sure you're going to get counterattacked really hard. No further instructions necessary. 3-5-2, underrated formation, but it's pretty tough to play. Just play this formation if you really like to attack and you don't mind conceding maybe 1 or 2 goals because you just want to outscore your opponent. Last but not least, one of the most common used formations in general football. I wanted to say FIFA, but it's general football. 4-3-3. And I'm going with the second variation, but I want to explain to you guys that every single 4-3-3 is actually quite similar, but just a little bit different in terms of having a cam, having 2 CDMs, having 3 central flat midfielders, or having a false 9, for example. It's all pretty similar, just, yeah. If you're more attacking, you would go with the cam. If you want to be a solid player, you might go with 2 CDMs because you want to just be solid at the back. And if you want to be a bit more aggressive, you might go with 3 flat midfielders. But my personal preference is going to be the 4-3-3, second variation with 1 CDM and 2 CMs. Why? Well, first of all, the tactics. Like I said, width and depth, they don't really change for me. Long ball is going to be really good in 4-3-3. And why? Because You guys know these L1 R1 passes that we have explained, and actually bombing these from right back to left winger and left back to right winger is actually crazy. It's really effective, and it's something that your opponent will likely not defend too often. So long ball is really good to go, but you can also just go with balance and, for example, possession, because if you're really good, and this is what I'm saying, really good and dribbling and passing, finding your way from down the wing inside the box, then the 4-3-3 is probably the best formation out there even, because it's really just a formation that you can always combine down the wings with the fullbacks and putting him in behind, forcing your opponent to cover it, and then just play it inside with the midfielders. And there's so many different ways to play the 4-3-3. That's also a thing. But the offensive width, like I said, you want to keep it more narrow because this formation is already pretty wide. I mean, some people, like, if you're going to play crossing a lot, or like if you're going to play in crosses a lot, you should keep it probably in like 75 even, because then your wingers will always be trying to go on the outside of the fullbacks and then just crossing it in. But if you're going for general possession play, working your way from wing to central, then you want to keep it on 40, because you want to keep that striker in that position as well, and the midfielders helping you out, as well as sometimes your wingers being on the inside of the fullback. So the players in box you could put on 6 to even 7, but 5 should work. But keep it pretty high, because there's only one striker really usually in the box with this formation. We want to have these 2 central midfielders helping out. And the way that you would shape up the team, I forgot to do that, it would be like this. Having 3 central midfielders would help, but then at least have that attacking minded player that can also kind of defend a bit, sitting at that right center mid or left center mid spot. Then your fullbacks and your wingers, and that's one striker that needs to be kind of a complete striker that can do everything. Why? Because I'm playing a 4-3-3 with a striker as target man. That guy needs to combine with the central midfielders, needs to be that finisher. He doesn't need to necessarily get in behind, because that's what our wingers are doing. They are trying to get in behind. They are trying to force the fullbacks to get out of position, so they also create space for the striker. Come back on defense on them, because as you can see, it's quite a gap between the right back and the winger. It's just something that also, if they come back, they have a more better run to get in behind. That's just what we've experienced every time if you play 4-3-3. Stay back while attacking, or balanced attack for the central midfielders. If you want to play a bit more attacking, like I said, if you're struggling to get that players in the box, you want to keep them on balance, because they can then support the striker. But if you feel like you're really good at creating chances with crosses, or just working your way from down the wing into the central, through the box with the wingers, then you should just keep them on stay back to keep a solid defense going. But the central, or the CDM I should say, you want to keep that one on stay back while attacking and cover center. Oh, that is not cover center. This one. Just to keep that solid CDM sitting in front of the center backs. Then the fullbacks, we do want to keep them on stay back while attacking, but overlap, because there is this kind of space to work with, as you can see, because there's a long distance to the wingers, to actually have the fullbacks really be in a bit of support down the wing to create space for the midfielders even. These are really decent formations, and you don't really see them a lot, but these can work, trust me. Just try them out. Hopefully these instructions and tactics help you, but you can definitely mix it up for yourself. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. See you guys in the next one. Ciao, ciao.